Ukraine and Russia are going head-to-head at the United Nations top court. Hearings over Moscow's role in the shooting down of the Malaysia Airlines flight MH17 are currently underway. Kyiv is seeking damages for attacks by pro-Russian rebels in eastern Ukraine, and that includes the downing of the flight in 2014. The incident claimed the lives of all 298 people who were on board. Another 13,000 people had been killed in the 8 years of violence preceding Russia's invasion last year. Moscow is set to present its own case this Thursday. It's the first time lawyers from both countries will meet at the World Court since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February last year. And for more, Giles Gibson joins us live. He's in Rome. Giles, Ukraine has branded Russia as a, quote, terrorist state. What's the latest from the hearing?
Well, the Ukrainian ambassador at large, Anton Koronevich, actually began his remarks talking about that hydroelectric dam that's been hit in a part of Ukraine that's controlled by the Russians. Kyiv immediately said that the Russians were to blame for that dam being destroyed, but the Kremlin, the Russians, are saying that they were not involved. Take a listen to the Ukrainian ambassador at large's comments.
Earlier today, Russia blew up a major dam located in Novakhovka, causing significant civilian evacuations, harsh ecological damages, and threatening the safety of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Russia's actions are the actions of a terrorist state, an aggressor.
Now, as for this case at the ICJ in The Hague, what the Ukrainians are claiming is that the Russians provided money and equipment to pro-Russian forces inside Ukraine, that an international investigation found shot down MH17 back in 2014. They argue that that would be a violation of a UN anti-terrorism treaty. We are expecting, as you were mentioning, Dawn, for the Russians to give their response in that court in The Hague on Thursday, and we are really expecting them to push back very strongly against these claims, these accusations from the Ukrainian side.
Right. Put into context for us, Giles, exactly what Russia faces here, because this isn't the first case to be levelled against Russia at the World Court. Now, if charged, what kind of penalties, if any, might Moscow face?
Yeah, of course, we've seen another international court based in The Hague, the International Criminal Court, the ICC, issuing an arrest warrant in recent months for the Russian President Vladimir Putin, accusing him of ordering child deportations from eastern parts of Ukraine into Russia itself. That is something that the Kremlin has strenuously denied. And of course, the Russian President Vladimir Putin is very much not in any legal proceedings. He is still at large despite that arrest warrant. And that really illustrates, I think, a central point in terms of this case at the ICJ as well, in terms of the MH17 case, because we're going to see legal arguments from the Ukrainians and the Russians back and forth over the course of the next couple of weeks. We will then at some point expect to have a ruling. That could be several months away. But really, even if a ruling does come down on the side of the Ukrainians against the Russians, the court really doesn't have any sort of mechanisms for enforcing its rulings. And that is something that we've seen time and time again, not just at the ICJ, but also at the ICC as well.
All right, Giles, thank you very much for that. Giles Gibson there reporting for us live in Rome.